Welcome back everyone. In today's lecture, we're going to understand some of the basic router configuration. Basically in this class, we're going to cover the following. We are going to understand how to configure host names to the routers, line console password, exec timeout, and login synchronous. Okay? Then, line VTY password, exec timeout, and login synchronous. Then we're going to configure enable password, going down to banner messages. Then we're going to encrypt these passwords that we have configured. Okay. Then finally disable IP domain lookup. So before we can go to the configuration part, allow me to explain these parameters. The first one is host name. Is a naming system that you can give to your devices in the network so that they can be uniquely identified. Okay, for example, a router in HR department and another router in IT department. The router in IT department can be given a host name of tdept router, okay, while the other one in HR department can be given a host name of HR department router. Okay, you must understand that host name is a naming system that is given to devices in the network to uniquely identify those devices, okay, so that we can easily identify which device is this one. Okay, alright. So for line console basically is that physical port, and console port is used to locally configure the device. Okay, when we are there, you just connect your router using console cable to PC, then configure it from that point. Okay, we're using which line console. Okay, and we should secure this line. Not everybody should configure the devices, right? That's why we will enable password. Then exec timeout basically means the device will log out any line console user after given period of inactivity. Suppose the user has not done anything to the switch for this period of time, then the device will disable that user, and that user will be required to log into the device again. That's another level of security, because if exec timeout is not enabled, suppose the network engineer has forgotten to log out the device, okay, and some bad people can come and interfere with the configuration. So that's a very important part of the exec timeout, right? Then login synchronous. Suppose we are typing a command, we are configuring the device, and every time we receive log messages that interrupts our configuration. Okay, so enabling login synchronous, these log messages will not interrupt our commands, okay, and the command will be moved to the next line so that we can proceed. Okay, I hope you understand login synchronous. It prevents those log messages from interrupting our commands that we are typing, Okay, so let's go to VTY. A line VTY, let me just say line VTY. Line VTY is that line that we use to configure the devices remotely. Okay, and in a router, line VTY basically is the auxiliary port. So we connect modem to that auxiliary port. Okay, then we can remotely log into that router from that port. Okay, and configure this device. Line console is used to configure the device locally when we are there physically, but line VTY is used to configure the device remotely when we are far away from the physical devices. And so we must secure these lines. That's why we must specify password to protect this line such that everyone cannot log in, only authorized people, right? Then exec timeout, we said, in the case for line VTY, exec timeout will specify the period of time, the amount of time the device will log out the line VTY user when they are inactive. Then login synchronous, we said, prevents the interruption of our command by log messages. Okay. Then enable password. Enable password basically protects this mode, privilege exit mode. Enable password basically protects privilege exit mode. Suppose you are from user exit mode. Before you get into privilege exit mode, you must enter a password, and that password is called enable password. Okay. Before you get into user exit mode of the device, you enter which password? Line console password. Remember, this one is for user exec mode, and enable password is for privilege exec mode. Okay. Then banner messages. Banner messages is message of the day. You can see that this router is for HR department. Okay. A message that somebody can know much about your device. Or this router is for IT department. Or this router is for research only. Things like that. Okay. Alright. So this password that we have configured, we should encrypt them such that the plain text should be transformed in an encrypted format that no one can read. Because if we don't encrypt these messages, you know, that our device is vulnerable. People can see the passwords, log in at their own time, you know, and compromise the configuration that we've done or the entire network. So this command will encrypt all the passwords that have been configured to the device. Right? We are going to look at them practically. So don't worry about them. Okay? And disable domain IP lookup. You know, suppose we are configuring a device and we type a wrong command, you know, that is very similar to the correct command, you know. The device will initiate DNS function to check if that typo is existing. Okay? And that really takes a lot of time. Around 30 seconds to 1 minute. That's a lot of time for network engineer. So we want to disable that scenario. And guys, let's go to our practical so that we can understand much about them. Okay, here is our packet tracer. I've already placed devices. Okay? But our concern is for the routers. So the computers I've just placed them for, you know, such that our topology can look better. So let me connect them. This one, not computers. And in routers, we're only going to configure basic configuration. For example, hostname, banner messages, then console and VTY password plus exec timeout and login synchronous and other parameters. So allow me to turn the interface on so that we can proceed. This is a very, very important class for young network engineers, because in every configuration these parameters will be required, and suppose you don't know how to configure them, it will really bring you a lot of problems. So this is an opportunity that you can't miss. Okay, so let me go back to our packet tracer, and let's start with the router 0. Just click on the device and come where it's written CLI and just hit enter. So guys, here we are in the user exec mode. Okay, so let's go from user exec mode to privilege exec mode. We use en or enable. Then from privilege exec mode to configuration mode, we use config t, like that. So this is where we can configure these parameters. So which parameter do we start with? Hostname. So the hostname, which command do we use? We just type hostname. Okay, this is a command, hostname, right? Then space. Which name do you want to give your device? the name should be one, no spaces. Okay, it can have hyphen, but it should be one word, right? So let's say this is IT depth R1. As you can see, this name is one word, although it has hyphens, but it is one word. Okay, that's a rule of naming. Then hit enter. Guys, as you can see, the default name was router, and now it has changed to the configured name of IT department R1. Okay guys, so let's check the next parameter, line console. The command to enter the line console, we just type line console. Okay, 0 basically means the first interface. Okay, then you hit enter. As you can see, we're in line console. Okay, then let's specify the password. The command for specifying the password is password. And guys, I said, suppose you want to save time and you are typing, let's say I just type pass like that, and you don't want to complete the whole word, just hit on the tab will complete the word for you. As you can see, password should be Cisco at 123. Very simple, and you hit enter. And guys, to enable this password to be effective, you need to specify a command, another command, login. The login command will authenticate the user. Okay, whenever user enters this password, he or she will be authenticated to access the device. Okay, then hit enter. So remember, line console, you use this command to enter the line console interface, line console 0, which 0 basically means the first interface. Then password is a command, then you give a password that you like. In our case, it is Cisco at 123. Okay, then authenticate that user, because if you don't write this login, this password will not be enabled until you write the login. Okay, so what's remaining? Exec timeout. We said exec timeout, basically the device will log out any line console user within a specified period of inactivity. Okay, so exec timeout, just hit tab. See, the tab has finalized the word for me. Then we want to specify how many minutes and seconds do we want this device to log out any line console user within this specified period of inactivity. Let's say 3 minutes and 0 seconds. 3 space 0. Okay, so remember this command, exec timeout, then you specify 3 minutes 0 seconds. Okay, then hit enter. Then login synchronous, so such that the log messages cannot interrupt our commands. Login synchronous, just hit tab, see, and hit enter. Guys, we are done with line console. We configured password, and the user will be authenticated using login command. Then exec timeout we configured as 3 minutes 0 seconds. Okay, and login synchronous has been enabled to prevent those log messages from interrupting our commands. So let's exit in this interface so that we can enter line VTY, because our next parameter is line VTY. So for the case of line VTY, just type line VTY 0 to 4. These are 5 interfaces. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 interfaces. Okay. So for the case of a beginner, kindly just use the 5 interfaces, 0 to 4. When you get to advanced, basically line VTY are 16 interfaces, 0 to 15. Okay, so it's 16 interfaces. But for the beginner, kindly just type this command: line VTY 0 to 4, 0 to 4, 0 space 4. Okay, and hit enter. Then we should secure this line such that not every remote login should be accepted. Okay, password Cisco at 123. Okay guys, and you hit enter. Then authenticate that user, login to enable this command. Can you see line VTY 0 to 4, then password and login? So let's configure exec timeout. Just type exec timeout 3 minutes space 0 seconds. Okay, then login synchronous to prevent those log messages from interrupting our configuration. Login synchronous, hit tab, like that one. Exit this interface. Guys, we are done configuring hostname, line console, password, exec timeout, and login synchronous, as well as line VTY password, exec timeout, and login synchronous. So let's see what's remaining. Enable password. Enable password. Guys, we said enable password basically will authenticate user from user exec mode to privilege exec mode. If you want to enter the privilege exec mode, you must enter that enabled password. Okay, so for the case of enable password, you just type a command: enable password. Which password do you want to use? Let's just use one password for all the devices, Cisco at 123, and we will see them. Don't worry about anything. We will see these things. We will see the outline console. We will see how line console will be accessed and how line VTY will be accessed. Okay, so just hit enter. And then what's now remaining? Let's check the banner messages. For the case of banner messages, which command do we use? Just type banner MOTD. MOTD basically means the message of the day. Okay, then that message should be inside a character. Suppose you choose your character to be ##, asterisk. Okay, it should be that. So for my case, let's say it is ##, then my message should be inside the characters. That's the rule. Banner message, banner MOTD is a command. Okay, then the message should be inside the character. I'll say this router is for IT department. Okay, can you see the message is inside opening hash and closing hash? So don't forget about it. Hit enter. Okay, then what's remaining? Encrypting the passwords. For the case of encrypting passwords, I want us to test our configuration first before we can encrypt the passwords. Okay, so which command do we use to save the configuration? Remember, what we've been doing basically are the running configuration. There are no saved configuration so far. Suppose we type do show start configuration, there will be nothing. See, startup configuration is not present because we have not saved the running configuration. But if we type do show run, you will see everything that we've configured. Can you see? Our host name was this one, enabled password was Cisco at 123, then down. The banner message was this router is for IT department is here. Then line console, the exact timeout was 3 minutes 0 seconds. Password was Cisco at 123. Login synchronous was there, and the user will be authenticated, as well as this one. Those are running configuration. The running configuration are stored in RAM memory of the router, but startup configuration are stored in NVRAM, non-volatile RAM of the router. Okay, so let us save the running configuration to startup configuration. Which command do we use? Do write configuration. So if we try to check our startup configuration, we'll see the configuration available. Do show start. Can you see? Do show start. The configuration are here. Host name is this one. Enable password is this one. And guys, for the case of encrypting password, this password that I've seen here will be transformed into an encrypted format. Okay, so just check it out. As well as these passwords, line console 0 password and then VTY password. Okay, so guys, let me encrypt this password. The second last command, encrypting the password. So for the case of encrypting the password, we use which command? Service tab password encryption. This is a command. Okay, service password encryption. That is a command that will encrypt all these passwords. As per now, you can see it's Cisco at 123, a plain text. But whenever we'll enable this command, all this plain text will be transformed into encrypted formats. Okay, so let me just hit enter. Good. So do show. Let's save first. Do write and do show start. Sorry. So this is the IP domain lookup that I was saying. Remember, I typed a command that is very similar to the existing commands. Do show start. I combined it. So the DNS function has been enabled and is trying to translate this command. Okay, but because this is a very strange command that it doesn't know, so it's trying to translate it, and this thing will really take a lot of time. That's why we have to disable it using this command. Okay, this is what we've been talking about. Fortunately, it came before we can explain it. See, you cannot proceed from this point. You cannot proceed. Even if you hit enter, you can't proceed. It normally takes around 30 to 1 minute. Okay, it's finished. So guys, before I type this wrong command, I wanted to type which command? Do show start. Don't worry about the domain IP lookup. We'll come back to it after we have seen the service password encryption in action. So do show start. Okay guys, initially enable password was Cisco at 123. Have you seen what it has been transformed into? Can you guess which password was this? You can't. Okay, then let's go down also to line VTY. Can you see guys, we have encrypted the passwords. Okay, the plain text passwords, we've encrypted them to a format that no one can guess, right? So guys, I hope you have understood these parameters. They are very, very important. And now finally, let's look at domain IP lookup. So for the domain IP lookup, I will type a wrong command again and explain further. The command that I typed was this one. Do show start, but I combine it. Show and start, I combine it. So the device operating system doesn't recognize this command. So DNS function was enabled to try to translate this command to check if it is existing. Okay, let me hit enter. You will see translating this one, because this one is the unknown command, right? And guys, the translation, the DNS function translation will take a lot of time. You can't proceed from this point. So we want to disable this scenario, because suppose we are doing a configuration and this pops up, it will really waste a lot of our time. Okay, and time is money. We need to compete with time in every dimension. So we should disable this one. And guys, also I'm going to show you, even if you have not disabled the DNS lookup function, okay, but you can exit from there. So let me type it again, and you see. So for example, we want to quit from this, we want to abort this DNS function. What do? Just press on Shift Control, or just press on Control Shift then 6. See, translating this one DNS domain server, this one name lookout aborted. So it is Control Shift 6. Suppose this problem pops up and you have not disabled the domain lookup. And now let's disable the name lookup. Okay, so we just type which command? No IP domain lookup. It's just like this one. It's a full command. No IP domain lookup, and you hit enter. Remember, no IP domain lookup. This command, no IP, basically will negate this parameter, IP domain lookup. No will negate it. No is negative, so no will negate it, so it will not be there. Okay, by default it is there. That's why we are using no IP domain lookup. So no command will negate IP domain lookup. Right, so let's try to enter this wrong typo again. I'll use arrow up, arrow down to retrieve the configuration that I did earlier. Arrow up, this one. Remember, a point that we entered this command, it really took around 30 seconds to 1 minute before we can get out of that problem. Okay, so let me just hit enter now. Can you see? Immediately unknown command, because we have disabled IP domain lookup. Let me try to type it again. Do should start like that one. See, it's the same thing. So guys, let's save our configuration. Do right and show start. Do show start. Remember, we are in configuration mode. Whenever we are in configuration mode, always use do show, but in privilege exit mode, show. Okay, omit the do command. Everything is configured. We have host name, we have enabled password, okay, and we have the banner messages. LAN console 0, everything has been configured, as well as LAN VTY. Okay, and for the case of no IP domain lookup is here. Let me just show you. Okay, can you see it? No IP domain lookup, right? Okay guys, so remember, we specified the exact time out of both line VTY and line console to be 3 minutes and 0 seconds. Okay, so that any user that is available can be logged out when they are inactive. So I don't want to use this router for around 4 minutes, such that the device can log me out. Okay, and we can see what you have configured is effective. So allow me to pause the video and return after 5 minutes. Okay guys, I'm back, and now let's go to the same router and see if what we have configured are in action. So I'll click on the router 0, and as you can see, the device has already logged out all the users, and I will be required to input password so that I can say access the user exit mode. This is line console password. Remember, this is line console password. Okay, as you can see, our banner message was this router is for IT department. This is banner message. Whenever you access any device, the banner message will come first, then authentication. So I will log in. Our password was Cisco. You will not see the password, but they are there in action at 123. Hit enter. As you can see, we have accessed user exec mode, but in user exec mode nothing we can do here. Okay, no configuration at all. So let's go to privilege exec mode. As you can see, enable password is in action. Which password did we configure as enable? Cisco at 123. It was the same password for the parameters. Okay, hit enter. As you can see. So guys, I'm in privilege exec mode. Let's go to configuration mode. Config T. Okay, and guess that's all. And if you want to check your configuration, the startup configuration, do show start. We have a host name. We have host name here, enabled password, and no IP domain lookup, and banner message, and the parameters that we just configured in both line VTY and console. Okay. So guys, that will mark the end of our class, and I hope you have mastered how to configure all these parameters: hostname, line VTY, password, exact time, and login signals, as well as line VTY. Okay, how to configure enable password, the banner messages, encrypting these passwords, and disabling IP domain lookup. Right? And guys, before you can log out, kindly make sure that you can subscribe to our channel. Kindly support our channel. Okay, and let's meet again in the next class. Bye, and have a nice day.